Get the mic on. Well, you're on.
Okay. I would like to introduce Jay Lovelace, who's going to be our MC for the evening. So Jay, eye of the tiger.
Show a lot of energy here. Get this thing, get this party going. There are a few young people here that are concerned we're too old, a little slow, whatever. But anyway, we're here to honor Mr. Dick Nelson, if you'd please. I hope everybody knows you're at the right party. This is Dick Nelson right here. And
I think he should come out there and be with you.
you do? Come on up here, Dick.
Yeah.
So we can.
All right, Richard, get up there.
There may be a little bit of fake news tonight here. I'm not sure. But anyway, I want to review a little bit of history with Dick. Now, I don't want to say he's old, but he was born in 1939 in Oklahoma. And that is in the United States, right? I think so. Okay. So he kind of lived in Kansas, went to school there, lived in Connecticut, lived in New York, Arizona. So this is kind of his life. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about his history in business and in tennis, which are the two things that I know a lot about Dick. So, he was a typical corporate guy working for IBM, started there in '65, I think, retired in 2002. So he fails retirement up. Everybody's got that feel, right? But he's kind of been a triple dipper. He started first with the Navy, then he went with IBM, and then with Mayo, and of course we'll talk a little bit about his next career. So he needs some help here as he transitions into this fourth career. And so anyway, I want to talk a little bit about how the world has changed, and Dick is obviously a result or a product of his environment through, he grew up in the 40s and 50s. Let me talk a little bit first about tennis. And I know Dick through tennis, and of course many of you know a little bit about tennis here in this group here. So let me talk about, and many of you may remember that Dick first started playing with white tennis balls. Do you remember? How many remember white tennis balls? Oh, yeah.
I didn't.
Wood rackets. And so Dick, now let me ask you this. How about the springs in the racket? Do you know we used to play with lamb's gut, maybe sometimes called cat's gut. That was before synthetics. So it was really tough to keep your racket from splitting, bending, breaking, whatever, and keeping the gut fine. But anyway, that's how Dick kind of started with those. Let me ask another thing. He started when the USTA was not the USTA. It changed its name from what? USLTA. Anybody know what the L was? Lawn. Very good. It came out of the grass court era. And of course, we also all played with white clothes in the very early days. Of course, that started shifting even in the 70s, I think, even though Wimbledon is still sticks with the whites today. I think you guys may remember, when did metal rackets, I take the T3000 was the first one. 2000 was the first one. Did you have one of those, Dick?
No, early did.
You did, okay. And then Prince came in with the jumbo rackets. Did you have one of those? Oh, you did, okay, very good. And of course, Dick also learned the game before two-handed backhands became vogue. So he's a one-handed backhand, plays the conventional, and so anyway, but the game has shifted, but Dick still plays his old school game. But anyway, he's very active, and that's a major part of his life, playing here in Gainey Ranch with a lot of friends, and I've played a lot of time with Dick on the court. And anyway, he's trying to improve. He's still in there, working hard at his game. And now I'd like to review a little bit of the history with him in his IBM days and corporate life and how that changed in America. So Dick started at IBM in 1965, and at that time we didn't have very many business aids to help us. For example, we had no computers, we had no internet. In fact, everything was done by typewriters. And in fact, even IBM had the best Selectric typewriter. I remember that was a great thing. Anybody know the IBM Selectric typewriter? And then we first didn't have even calculators, hand calculators. Anybody remember TI came out with calculators, I think in about 1965 or 1966, and we thought that was wonderful. And then they came out with something called a copy machines, or Xerox. I mean, that was, even in my era, that was a great thing to have a Xerox machine. And then fax machines came in. You probably remember you got your first fax machine. And then our secretaries ended up, and that was a time when we did have secretaries, because everybody had to type and type everything, and before everybody had their own PCs and laptops and desktops. So anyway, we used, so the fax machines came in, then they got workstations. So this was kind of the advent, maybe in the late 70s, early 80s, I think. We all had workstations, and girls, you didn't have to go back with Snowflake and change the typing, and you could do it all on your computer, and that was a wonderful change. And then, of course, the internet came in the 90s, I guess even the late 80s, and that was obviously a big deal. And so I'd have to say, though, I give Dick compliments that he kind of lived that great era in IBM as they became a major force in America in computers. And actually, by the time he left, they were kind of on the downhill slide. So his career did a pretty, and then he joined Mayo thinking he was just going to be a volunteer, but of course that didn't work out. He failed the volunteer, and he said, well, you're working full time, we might as well pay you. Sure. And so he reluctantly agreed to be paid.
I said,
of course,
what are you doing?
Not afraid though to take
Why are
his
you
retirement.
doing
He
all
got 16 years in with Mayo, so now he's got all these Social Security checks and IBM checks, and it's really a problem managing all the money and keeping track of it. But anyway, in fact, I think that should lead to maybe his new career as a fourth career, which would be to be a career manager. I mean, I've never seen anybody be able to use the system to his benefit. I can't believe all the trips he got his companies to pay for, all the dinners he's had out. And I'll tell another story on Dick was, I guess we made friends with him in the 90s, and he lived here in Gainey Ranch. He didn't have an office. He worked out of his home and flew around to different places on projects. Anyway, I guess it was about a year and a half. I'd asked Dick, what about your boss? Well, I don't have a boss. And I think he was lost in the IBM system. They still had him in payroll. He still didn't get a check. And if he became Dick's boss, that was the kiss of death. They'd get fired quickly. So, and that's not even fake news. That's the truth. And I think Dick can attest to that. But anyway, Dick did keep changing through the years, and I guess I'd even say he became a pretty good advisor to a lot of friends, including myself, on, should we get a desktop, should we get a laptop, should we get a PC, or should we get an Apple? But he's done a pretty good job of keeping abreast, but he was still old school in a lot of things. He won't get a Tesla, he won't get a Japanese car, he has a Jaguar, and of course the sports car of the 80s is the Porsche that he has. So, I think he still has an analog watch.
Apple Watch.
Well, maybe he's a little
Do
more
you
modern.
have that?
So anyway, I think though that Dick has such an outstanding career that he certainly could go into that advisory. So if anybody's got any children that needs a job, or any of you want another job, go see Dick. He knows how to play the system really well. So anyway, glad everybody came here. I think we have people from his college, from his high school, friends from Connecticut, and I think Earlene, she paid up to $100 per person for you to come. We really appreciate that. To see Earlene, you want to collect your payment. So anyway, I also got a lot of advice from people. Be nice to Dick. Be nice to Dick. And so I'm not going to talk about his prison career, some of those other dark sides of his life, but I do think his kids, he's got 2 boys here, and they didn't say, they said sock it to him, sock it to him. So anyway, why don't I have them to come up one at a time and they would share. Aha, here we go.
We weren't waiting for this opportunity.
All right.
this is the favorite. And the high maintenance, rebellious one over there. I want to start off with just a quick story that happened recently. This doesn't have to do with him, but it's a story I guarantee you'll be talking about tomorrow. I was dating a gynecologist for about 3 years, obviously because, you know, we had a lot in common. We both studied the same thing for about 20 years. Not that, because we're helping people. All right, let's bring the mind up here for a minute. Anyway, so she would have patients. She had 5,800 patients that she would see. And I would hear a lot of the stories. Obviously, with HIPAA, I would never get any of the names, but the stories were memorable. So be careful what you tell your gynecologist, because someone may hear it. Okay, so she, and just starting off, I've got a special needs child, and I told him this story, and he was crying, he was laughing so hard. But this story is just amazing. All right, so one of her patients was a nurse who had a 16-year-old special needs boy that she took to see the Troll movie. And he was troll this, troll that, just loved it. And about a week or so later, he called his mom at work at the hospital and said, "Mom, you're never gonna guess what happened." She goes, "What?" He said, "I caught the troll. Mama, I caught the troll." And she said, "That's fantastic, honey. You hold on to that troll." So, "Don't worry, Mama, I won't let him get away." So about 15, 20 minutes later, he said, called back, "Mama, the troll tried to get away twice, but I caught him. Don't worry." She said, "That's just fantastic." When she hung up, she went to her coworker and said, "I'm gonna drive home real quick and just kind of take a look and see what's going on." She walked in. All the furniture in the living room was trashed, turned over. All the furniture was just a mess. She walks into the kitchen and sees a chair wedged up against the door in the pantry. So she opens it up, true story, opens it up, and inside the pantry is a midget Jehovah's Witness inside the pantry. True story. So anyway, didn't have anything to do with anything, but I thought it was amazing. Seriously? But she said he was very understanding about it. I'm not sure if he's still a Jehovah's Witness. Would have loved to have been in the Monday morning meeting hearing about, "So how was your day?" You're not going to believe this. All right, so to start off, just to tell a couple just real quick stories about my dad. I don't know if any of you know this, but everything was always regimented, engineered, perfect. So out of 50 years, Darren and I were talking this morning that there's probably only 6 or 7 instances that we can think of. He doesn't do stupid things. And these weren't stupid. I think he was just distracted with Darren's behavior problems. But anyway, so the first one we were thinking of was when my mom went into the hospital and my dad was cooking for us, was cooking breakfast for us. And one of the things that were famous back then were cream of wheat. And apparently you're not supposed to cook it on the stove with milk and let it boil, turn black, smoke, and then feed it to your children. So Darren and I, he's like, "Eat it." So yes, sir. So we were bawling, "Sit there, eat the cream of wheat, run." He was just, looking at us like we were Nancy's. So he finally took a bite and he said, "Put it down, boys, we're going out to breakfast." So I got him the shirt made, this cream of wheat shirt. It was kind of hard to find. It says Master Chef. So that's shirt number 1. And Darren does have an announcement to make after this. It's amazing. But anyway, so the second story I want to tell is they were obviously very brave. I don't know how old we were, 12 or something like that, but we canoed upstream in the pouring down rain for 3 days, carrying all of our food, water, supplies, and I was riding with my dad. And of course, it was just, we'd have to, during the low spots, get out, carry our canoe over our heads with our food, and a lot of it was dried food. And there was a bag of dried apricots. Anyway, my dad apparently didn't think anybody else was going to eat them, so he ate the whole bag of dried apricots. And apparently had some sort of reaction as we were canoeing. And you know, as a competitive family, I wanted to stay up front. He's like, Todd, slow it down. Slow it down. I'm like, no, I want to stay. Todd, go to the bank. We went to the bank, and he was off to the races in the woods, and came back out with kind of I don't know, now it's funny, a funny expression, but lost his knife. He was in his Daisy Duke shorts, wading back out to the canoe, and so we get in the canoe, and of course we ride back to, everyone else is already back at the campsite. They're up on the hill, and so we pull back in, and we pull up, and my mom yells down, Todd, where were you guys? And I said,
Dad told me not to tell.
so, thankfully, now the statute of limitations has, you know, expired in 1950. So I actually had a shirt made up for this one. This is him when we were canoeing the Oswegatchie. He's on the bottom of the right with my mom, and on the back it says, "We'll canoe for dried apricots." You know, there's plenty of stories, you know, with him. We had a Volkswagen back then. He started, you know, what? There's plenty of things. I mean, like 5, I think. But, you know, we had a Volkswagen. There was rusted out fenders. We'd drive around, the water would come out of it. And so I think there was something wrong with the hatchback. Or that's where the engine was, I think, was in the hatchback. And again, he does not do stupid things. He's probably just distracted again by his behavior. And so we lived on the Carmel Hills in Poughkeepsie, New York, and I think he got everything he needed to get done with the engine for the Volkswagen and was backing out. But what he forgot is that this Volkswagen had a big old hatchback. And he tore down the whole garage as he backed out and hyperextended the hatchback on it. And I looked on, if you look at Google Earth today, there's no more garage there. They turned it into like an extra room. But anyway, and Jay was talking about how my dad is old school, and watching him through the years and passing it down to my kids about respect for your spouse, opening the door for them, never say a mean word to their face. Always just making sure your spouse is taken care of as a gentleman. Jay, I saw you get out of your car tonight and you opened your door for Martha. So I know. Even at her, she was handing
Are you sure?
The thing about our dad is he's our Superman. He's always been there for us, always very strong. Here, so get ready.
Off on behalf of my mother, my father, my brother, our grandchildren, my wife, our lovely photographer. Hopefully you all have a chance to meet her. I'm Darren Nelson. Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate you all coming and spending some time with us to recognize 3 monumental events today. One, obviously, is my father's retiring, and that we never thought we'd see that. And for those that you know him know that we didn't think that was going to happen. He truly enjoyed work, and it's not something that he dreaded doing. He really enjoyed it. The second was the fact he's going to be turning 80, and it's unbelievable. But today, after 45 years of my parents kicking me and my brother's ass in tennis, we beat them in straight sets.
That's not nice.
It started out not so great. We were down 0-3, and I looked at my brother going, oh, jeez, here we go again. He's freaking 80. You can't beat 80 tennis.
What do you say? Hit it to where he's aiming?
Hit it? So I said, stop killing. Just hit it where they aim. They can't get to it. So we ultimately won 6-3, 6-1. It was a monolithic and we signed the ball for them so that they could put it in their trophy case. There's probably truth to that. There's probably truth to that. But seriously, I want to thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it. I'll provide a little more context. You know, to you all, You know him as a friend, and some of you met him in Poughkeepsie, and some of you know him here. There are actually two versions of my father. There is the East Coast, New York, very disciplined, very structured, very regimented Dick Nelson. And then there's the Arizona, play as much tennis as you possibly can. Why did you torture your children when they were younger? In his world, he raised us, he was a perfectionist. We were never allowed to say the word can't. That was forbidden from our vocabulary. There was nothing you cannot do. If you put your mind to it and put the right amount of energy and effort to it, you can accomplish that. So we were never allowed to say can't. There was no excuse for starting something without the intention of completing it perfectly. It had to be done perfectly, and that's a tall order, but it taught us a lot. So I'll add a little more context to some of the stories that my brother started on. The hatchback event was we were actually going to go skiing, and so he had filled the Volkswagen with our ski stuff, and he did back out, and he did trash the garage, and he dented the roof in the Volkswagen to remind us every day that he did make a mistake. But this was such a monumental mistake, me being a young teenager thought it was appropriate to put that mistake on our calendar. So I wrote the day my father made his first mistake on the calendar. The other interesting thing about it was I thought about writing the apricot situation on the calendar, but had learned that that probably would not be a good idea because the first calendar event didn't go favorably for me. But my brother, on the other hand, so I'll give you another quick thing about my father. He didn't have a short fuse. He had no fuse. So here's the way it went down. Bad behavior, clear your throat, bad consequence. So that was my dad's tell. He'd never be a good poker player because whenever he was upset with something, he had this reaction where he'd clear his throat. And then, I don't know if that was just, you're supposed to count to 10 before you do something damaging. His was clear his throat for 2 or 3 seconds. Now, I learned that when the throat clearing started, it was time to flee the scene. My brother, on the other hand, he thought, consequence means adventure. This is cool. Let's see what's going to happen. Now, I have no recollection of my mother dropping my brother on his head as an infant, but the symptoms indicate otherwise. So he would sit and literally provoke my father. He would make fun of my father's nose, and he'd literally point at it and call him Eagle Beak.
I don't know what he's talking about.
And I couldn't understand why he would continue to do these things. And I'll give another story. So we very much wanted an animal. My brother and I very, very much wanted an animal. And we were so blessed and so thrilled that my parents brought us home a kitten. The cutest little kitten. Just as cute as this little, we were so excited. Yeah, my father, on his way to work, had put his foot in the shoe, not realizing that the kitten, on his first day with us, had used the shoe as his litter box. My brother and I came home to a kittenless home. We were told that the kitten mysteriously ran away. And to this day, he still hasn't fessed up to what happened to the kitten. But I also have the recollection of my father. My mother would pick us up from school and would then go pick up my dad and take him to the train station so he could go from his long day at work to go to school and get his master's. I mean, he was a guy that was just constantly driven, constantly working, constantly trying to improve himself and, make a better environment for us. And it's really, you all got to know him as a friend. My brother and I got to know him front row as a role model. He served as a phenomenal role model for us. And it's really, I feel blessed, as you said, we get choked up.
That's great.
So he gave us not only a wonderful life, he gave us the foundation to raise wonderful children. And, you know, I was a second generation IBMer, and my son just signed. He's a third generation IBMer. He'll be working in the IBM cybersecurity center. So, you know, he's special to you all, obviously, because he came here and to share on this evening, but he's very special to us. And we love him very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you for all the comments. And Jay, thanks for
Did you get a file of that? Are you
Speaking of
kidding?
introductions, I do want to introduce some people to the Arizona crowd here that you may not be aware of. First of all, of course, you've met my two sons and my amazing daughter-in-law, Zena. So we have a great family. I'd also like to introduce you to some of the people who have been with me for a long time. So I kind of put together a timeline here. If I look back to 1955 time frame, when I was in high school, we have some friends from that area. I wonder if Ron, Flore, Dick, and Shannon could stand up. I mean, these are people that I went to high school with. And Flore still live in Wichita, and Dick and Shannon live in California, so I'm happy that they're here with us. Ron was a real guiding influence to me, but of course there are some stories that I can't tell that go back a long way. And then I went to Wichita State University, where I joined a fraternity. And there, Ron was my fraternity father, and also Gary was in my fraternity at that time. So it goes back to the 1959 time frame in the fraternity environment. So appreciate you guys coming and supporting me there. In 1965, we moved to Poughkeepsie, New York. And that's where we met Stella and Bruce. You could stand up, Stella and Bruce. We also met Joyce. Joyce, outstanding bridge player. Significant bridge. A little competition of bridge. Joyce is a person. We also met Bill and Sandy Kazan. We had a lot of firsts with them. We spent a lot of time going on vacation. They currently live in California, and they're here from the California area to spend time with us. We appreciate that. So then in 1993, we moved to Scottsdale, and that's where we started playing tennis. Played tennis with Jay, Rich, Eddie Zito. So these are the guys that we started playing tennis with, and we've been playing with them for all these years. I mean, my God, 25 years, I can't believe we've been playing tennis all that time. And then, so I retired, and I wanted to give back, so I went to Mayo and Cliff Romey. Cliff, as you can see. Cliff is the one that hired me at Mayo, so I am sure that he never expected me to last 60 years. But nevertheless, I did. I also want to introduce Patsy Barker. I was Patsy's mentor. And I'm not sure who was mentoring who. She went on to get one of the key awards that Mayo gives for client services. She was outstanding, and I'm sure it had nothing to do with my mentoring.
Everything to do with your mentoring.
So anyhow, those are people who my tennis friends may not be aware of. Also, I want to introduce Longa. Longa was an office maid that sat near me in my Mayo career. We had a lot of discussions, a lot of political discussions, technical discussions. And I was always on the different side of the fence from Ronga. But it looks like she may have been right after all. So those are some
Hey,
of the...
Dick, you probably should admit to the fact that you are the oldest administrative intern that Mayo ever hired.
Well, that's quite an honor, thank you. Thank you. It turns out I'm always finding out I'm the oldest whatever in my then there's today, and I want to thank all of you for coming, spending this time with me. It's quite a humbling experience that you're all here. I also want to say goodbye to the Nashes. The Nashes are leaving us. We've been playing tennis with the Nashes for 20 years, and now they're going to go move to California and leave us behind, but it's been a pleasure. Let's have a good time. One last thing, I think, just like to offer, I think we'd all like to say good luck to Tom, as many of you know. Tom is quite ill. I want to wish him good luck. So that's it. Thank you again for coming. It's been a real pleasure working with you all, playing with you all, and being your friend. Thank you.